Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The Druki are lined up and ready to take the charge as they face off against the Empire today. We have Killerino commanding the Dark Elves, and then we have Parkmap will be leading the forces of the Empire. So for the Dark Elf army, we have a front line of just a few Dread Spears, and they will be backed up by a trio of Black Art Corsairs as well. Black Art Corsairs do excellent work with chewing through the Empire State troops, and the Dread Spears, well, they aren't really the best anti-large unit, but they do get the job done and do provide a bit of delay for the other units to really get the damage done. And for those damage dealers, we do have a pair of Dark Shards with shields and a pair of Reaper Bolt Throwers as well, which will do quite well against the Cav units, keeping those skirmishers at bay, and then having the Dark Shards really punish at that closer range. For the mobility department, though, we do have a trio of Cold One Knights in the background to help contend that mobility department, and we do have a couple of Dark Riders with shields. Vanguard deployment into the rear corners, looking to catch the Empire unawares if they get the lucky break. Now, for the leadership department, we do have Morathi, and for her kit, she is going to be bringing a lot of her debuffs. So she has Enchanting Beauty, -9 melee attack and charge. And then we have the Heartrender and the Dark Sword, bringing a -9 melee defense and melee attack debuff as well, both in an AoE. She has Soul Stealer and the Wand of Karedan, which is a nice little bombardment spell. But otherwise, pretty straightforward build here. Reaper Bolt Throwers will try and pester those cavalry, the Pistoliers and the like, and even Volkmar provides a very nice target for them. Now for the Empire forces, we do have a bit more for a front line. We have the Sigmar Sons, a very nice unit that, again, as you'll hear me say often, this is a very staple pick for the Empire in almost every matchup, a nice unbreakable unit. They will have another pair of swordsmen, and then they will have 4 spearmen in support. Of course, there is a Volkmar the Grim on his chariot, bringing the Grand Hammer of Sigmar, Grand Shield of Faith, Grand Soulfire Bombardment, and his Bound Banishment. The Empire Captain as well, just a little bit of extra leadership support for those frontline troops. But the, I guess the prize of this army is going to be in its mobility core. And they do have triple Outriders in the rear, and they will have Knights of the Blazing Sun, some Empire Knights on both sides. So a very decent cavalry forces. Now the Cold One Knights should be able to do fairly well against just the Empire Knights and the Knights of the Blazing Sun. However, the Outriders are really going to punish those Cold One Knights very, very effectively. There is also an Amethyst Wizard as well, going to be bringing Spirit Leech and Doom and Darkness, as well as the Power Stone, giving a little bit of extra magic regen and power reserves as well. But that Doom and Darkness, it's kind of I guess an underrated spell that you don't often see, but it can be a very, very good use, because an Overcasted is an AoE debuff, and they can just, if hit at the right time, can just cause a mass rout at just the opportune time, and is often enough to sway a battle one way or the other. But those will be our armies, so let's get this army going. As both armies do advance, the Reaper Bolt Throwers will be taking their sweet time, though, as they are firing away. They will be targeting these Outriders, trying to peel off as many models as they can, and they have been able to do that with that opening volley. And those Outriders, they can just punish those Cold One Knights very, very effectively, as well as Morathi, because right now Morathi, the only thing that can really contend her is the Outriders. So keeping those Outriders away from her is going to be key for the Dark Elves in this engagement. But the rest of the Empire are going to be approaching the Dark Elf line, and the Dark Elves will move forward to provide a little bit of breathing space for their Dark Shards and their Reaper Bolt Throwers. But so far, the only one of the Corsairs has really moved forward to advance and engage. The other one is moving forward a bit. But yeah, this front line should go the way of the Empire in the center ranks. However, the Black Art Corsairs on the far side aren't going to do quite well. However, the Empire Knights and the Knights of Blazing Sun have gotten a nice charge into these Black Art Corsairs, and they do not like the charge at all. But we do have some Cold One Knights coming in, trying for a counter charge to peel them away. So those Corsairs didn't take as much damage as they could have in that situation. Now, the Outriders are just teeing up on these Cold One One Knights doing a bunch of damage, but they have taken quite a bit in return. Those Reaper Bolt Throwers really doing a number on them, as well as the Dark Shards being able to open up. But now the Cold One Knights are going to be looking to get a nice charge off onto the Knights of the Blazing Sun, and they do get a free charge there, because the Knights of the Blazing Sun did not get their charge. The Empire Knights kind of do, but yeah, that was a very nice charge, doing a lot of good damage to those Knights of the Blazing Sun, and they will pull out here as the rest of the Dark Riders do kind of come around for a bit of a surround, and this is very dangerous for the Empire right here, as this Cav core is really just getting sandwiched right here. However, there is a bunch of other things going right for the Empire, as that center ranks of the has broken for the Dark Elves, and allowing these swordsmen to get into the Reaper Bolt Throwers fairly effectively at this point. Volkmar as well supporting his Sigmar sons with the Empire captain, trying to get in, but the Cold One Knights have jumped up to engage, allowing these Dark Shards to continue firing. Oh, and a fantastic Soul Stealer. Oh man, this is just a beautiful cast here, catching 5 Cav units with 1 cast. That is going to be insane value right there, as Murderous Prowess does also pop right now, as these Knights of the Blazing Sun do rout, and these Empire Knights will surely follow soon. Now, the Spearmen are chasing off some of the Dark Shards here, and these Reaper Bolt Throwers have been compromised for the time being by these Swordsmen, and very likely will stay that way. Black Ark Corsairs trying to come in, but we do have a Knights of the Blazing Sun and Empire Knights looking to get a nice charge in, and they should be able to peel those Black Ark Corsairs off fairly effectively. But we do have some returning units for the Dark Elves looking to finish off these Sigmar Sons. They still have 38 models and Unbreakable, but these Cold One Knights have taken quite a bit of damage from Volkmar the Grim himself, and he is unbreakable, and losing the Reaper Bolt Throwers really kind of makes that a little bit harder of a target to really deal with. You still have the Cold One Knights who can do quite well against him. But the Wand of Coredon going down, missing these Outriders pretty much is like, having them on the move is really hard to hit them. Anyways, it is usually better to target a single target, like the Amethyst Wizard, Empire Knight, or Volkmar himself, for example. It looks like we have a Banishment going down in the back line here, like right in the middle of these Dark Shards, doing some very nice damage there, taking off about 40% of their health on that cast, as it does kind of peel away from the formation, but still some very nice damage nonetheless. Now, Volkmar is trying to assist this little pocket here, trying to break those Black Ark Corsairs before the rest of the Empire front line does break. And the Empire are a little bit on the back foot right now in the mobility department, after 2 of their units of Empire Knights and Knights of the Blazing Sun kind of got sandwiched early on and have been just getting chased off the map right now. Those Dark Riders doing a good job chasing them off, shattering those units. Spirit Leech is going down on Marathi, though she is easily going to be able to heal through that with a very nice Soul Stealer, which there's plenty of targets left for her to be doing that, but things are looking fairly good for the Dark Elves in this situation, as there's just not enough mobility left for the Empire to really either protect their Outriders. As you can see, these guys are getting compromised right here, and the Volkmar is losing the infantry support, which isn't necessarily the worst thing for him in particular, but it is for like the Empire Knight and the rest of the troops, because then they will be fighting alone, because Volkmar the Grim himself just clears things very, very effectively. And here is that Soul Stealer I was talking about, clipping the Spearmen, Empire Captain, and Volkmar. So Marathi already back at full health, so that Spirit Leech really just isn't going to be doing a whole lot for her against her. And yeah, the Outriders here been very effectively screened out throughout the course of the match, as the Empire State troops are just running out of steam here. Spearmen getting beat down. Now the Amethyst Wizard is in a bit of a predicament, and yeah, just the Cold One Knights in the late game being pretty much all at full health. A lot of Dark Riders as well here to chase things off. And these Dark Riders will very effectively chase these Outriders off the map as well, considering that unlike Pistoliers, they need to be facing their target to fire, so those Dark Riders are excellent at screening them out. Otherwise, in the rear, one of the Dark Shards has just been continually chased by these Spearmen, and I think finally those Knights of the Blazing Sun are going to be able to catch up to them and deal some damage. Reaper Bolt Throwers actually looks like they are back online, ready to fire again, but that Amethyst Wizard is going to be routing off, and that is not going to be very good for the Empire, losing that pretty much just the spells for the Empire. However, Volkmar himself is also very, very low, and another Soul Stealer is going to be going down here. But yeah, Volkmar just so low. He is going to be dropping a Banishment, trying to clear up these Cold One Knights. But yeah, he's just getting beat down by them, and Marathi coming in is just going to finish the job, and that is going to be our game, as the Dark Elves will take it. So take a look at the after battle report. Very well played by the Dark Elves here. I mean, potentially they had their Black Corsairs a little compromised potentially earlier on, but two of the units just chewing through those Empire Chaff units very, very effectively, and a very nice sandwich on the Knights of Blazing Sun and one of the Empire Knights as well, really shutting down the cavalry support and allowing the Dark Riders then to essentially just screen out the Outriders for the rest of the match. And unlike Pistoliers, they won't be able to fire back when they are being chased, so they really do need the Empire Knights and the Knights of the Blazing Sun to help screen out enemy cav to allow the Outriders to shoot in throughout the course of the match. And yeah, without the Outriders, there was nothing to contend against Marathi in the air. She was just able to fly overhead, have her debuffs, reducing the melee attack and melee defense of all the surrounding troops, and just cast Soul Stealers on the blobs. And she had some very, very nice Soul Stealers, catching pretty much like all of the cav units in one cast, and it was very, very well done. But that is going to be our match, and I do hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good one.